Hi everybody, I'm the Young Rocket Man. In today's video, I am going to be showing you how to make a paper rocket. In addition to that, I'm also going to be showing you my collection of paper rockets and how it got me started. To start off, we're going to need a couple of materials. First up, we're obviously going to need paper. In this video, I'm going to be using 8.5 by 11 office paper, but really any paper can do. You can use post-it paper, note paper, origami paper, any kind of paper will really work. Second thing you're going to need is tape. Again, any tape really matters. I personally prefer Scotch tape, but you can probably also use blue tape, electrical tape, or duct tape if you have it. Third thing you're going to need is a cutting device. So I've got scissors here, but you can also use hobby knife if you are comfortable enough using a knife. And finally, you're also going to need a mold to cast your paper around. This is specifically a metal straw that I own, and you're going to spin the paper around this tube. You can really also use other kinds of molds though. It depends on what the air is going to be flowing through. So, to make our rocket, the two things we're going to need to start off with are we're going to take the paper, and I'm going to use pretty much all of this paper here, but you don't need to. You can use half of it, you can use 3/4 of it, doesn't really matter, but I am going to cut probably right about there. Like a hobby knife because it's nice and sharp and easy to cut with. And again, before we roll it around the mold, we're going to take our tape. We're going to take a very small segment of it, just tear it off. Got it right there. We're going to put it right down here. We're going to need that in a little bit. We're ready to start rolling. When you roll the paper, if you can see these edges, the edge of the paper on the end here should align like that. That way everything stays the same diameter all the way around. And you're also going to want it to stay as tight up to the tube as possible. So you can see me kind of pushing the paper down under there just to make sure that because the tighter it is, the better the seal. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get the paper all the way in there, but there we go. So we got our paper in there, and then like to roll it around a little bit, get it to be a good thickness. Right about there can work, but you can use all of this paper. You can do one rotation. It doesn't really matter how much the paper you use, as long as you have it all the way wrapped around. And I'm going to stop right about here. So take hobby knife, cut off the excess, and that was a terrible attempt at making a perpendicular cut, but it doesn't really matter. So with our tube wrapped, we're going to hold on to it. We're going to take our piece of tape from earlier. I'm going to stick it on like so. Just like that. If you move it side to side, you should be able to hardly move it on the mold side to side. We've got our tube. You can take it off and take a look at it. Before we put any more tape on it though, I'm going to put it back on. We're then going to make the nose cone. Making the nose cone can be done a couple of ways. The way that I normally have done it in the past is I've cut a circle in paper, and then I've cut halfway through on the radius. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Again, cut right to the middle, just like that. And you're going to need another piece of tape for this. Almost forgot about that. going to take it, fold one edge over, and then you can roll it just like that. And you've got a nose cone, and before you put the tape on, you can cross-check it, and that looks to be an okay diameter. So if it's too big or too little, you can make adjustments, but once you're ready, put a tape over the flap. And I really overestimated precisely how much tape I would need, so there's a bit sticking out, you can see right there. So take it, cut it off. That's pretty simple. You're left with a little nose cone, which you can then tape up here, just like that. Another way you can also do it that's a lot more simpler is you can take part of the top of your rocket, smush it down just like that, and fold it over like so. This will again create a seal at the top with which to work with. It should look something like that. And that still works. And here's a little demonstration. Great. So you can see that flies very well. And vertically, I've had things like this go a couple feet, go over 10 feet in the air. The wider the straw, the better. It allows for more air to go through. And again, the tighter this is on the tube, the more force you can get behind it. So, and again. Alright, so as promised, I'm going to show you some of my older rockets. So this one, it's a little bit worse for wear, as you can see. This is the first rocket I ever made, Calvin 1. Made this one a little under 5 years ago. And the way this one works is it's completely enclosed in the bottom, so you can't fire it with air. Just throw it. Not very far-reaching rocket. This is when I really started to get into air power. This is one of my early rockets. I wasn't very good with names with the smaller rockets, so this one doesn't have a name. So this one was supposed to fit over a straw, and if I'm remembering correctly, this one went about 10 feet in the air. Thus, I started to get into bigger, I started to get into more advanced methods of launching. This one, Apollo 11, was fitted onto a Fox bow, which is an air-powered bow, and this one went about 30 feet in the air. And as I mentioned before, you can make these tubes out of any material, and this here is actually origami paper. When I first started with that one, I didn't realize it would snowball into stuff like this, and eventually other stuff that you see on this channel with bigger and bigger rockets. Essentially, it all started with rockets like this smaller one here. But what I really enjoyed with this small scale was learning as I went, and I even experimented with the length of these rockets to figure out the best possible length of office paper to go the highest. Ever since then, I've been flying high. And again, like I mentioned earlier, these can be fitted onto any kind of launcher that shoots air. This one is straw rocket, like I mentioned before, whereas this one is an air-powered bow, which goes about 30 feet in the air. I've also got an air compressor that I launched a really small rocket onto about 15 feet on 90 psi. And if you really start to get into stuff like this, you can buy online a special kit that's designed to launch rockets higher called a stomp rocket, and those can go about 100 or so feet in the air. You can also custom make your own for those that are made out of paper, and those will go even higher. So that's a bit of a deep dive into paper rockets and how I really all got started. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and consider liking and subscribing so you don't miss the next video. Thank you.